Welcome back. Today we are doing session 11 planning. So I haven't really done this before, so I wanted to run you guys through what I do during a planning session and record my planning Pomodoro. What I've been doing mostly up till now is recording my working Pomodoro. So I plan and then I spend a 25-minute working Pomodoro recording what I'm working on for the day. So I wanted to see you where I'm at. I wanted to show you where I'm at right now as far as how I get ready for those working sessions, those working Pomodoros. So here is what we do. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Just jump right into this planning session. There, the screen is now shared. So I'm just going to go back first. I have a Claude session open. And this is where I usually start. Actually, that's the wrong browser. So I'm going to do a little bit of a review here first. And go to session 10 and just kind of review that. Okay, so where did we end up at the end of session 10? That's what I'm asking Claude right now. I'm going to go back over to Perplexity in a moment, ask the same thing. So based on the conversation I had with Claude during session 10, planning and working, this is what we did. In state, what actually shipped, project, infrastructure, commit, execution, thread. We created a Vercel account. We updated DNS records. We have www.atonimus.ai is live with SSL. Is production primary, and it's also redirecting, or Atonimus.ai is redirecting to www.atonimus.ai. So we got the web page done, right? Homepage version 0 is live with content and newsletter first, call to action or CTA. So that points people over to the Beehive sign up. It's wired and active. We also did some work on the project architecture. So we updated the master context file, that's the file that we use to keep for the project. So this is something that I've developed to use with chat-based LLMs. So like if you're using ChatGPT through an app or through the web or through a browser or Claude or Perplexity or any other browser-based or chatbot-based, app-based version of an LLM, this is what I use to keep context and depth and memory for a project as I'm going on. I also just worked earlier this morning on setting one up for a specific thread. So now I have a standard operating procedure for developing these, whether it's for a thread or for a project, and that way I can use it to maintain, like I said, memory, context, and all those kind of things. So this MC file, the master context file, we worked on that, which is something we should do after every session to update it, to keep our bearings straight. This came about because I thought I was doing this through a markdown file that I was having Perplexity hold in its memory. We were updating it as we went, but I wasn't saving it locally and I wasn't saving it to the project either. And so what I learned is when I went through after like 2.5 weeks of working with Perplexity and things just going great, having like wonderful conversations, Perplexity maintaining all the depth and context and memory, it was just working so smooth and getting better and better. The thread got compressed, which just means that it got abbreviated, right? Like it consolidated, it shrunk it down so that it was easier to use going forward because it was getting too big. We lost a lot of depth when that happened. We lost some context when that happened. It was really frustrating. I thought I had set up a system in place to overcome that, and I had double checked it. And Perplexity thought it would work, and it didn't work. So lesson learned, right? Now you know, and this is why I developed the master context file as something that can build over time. And as we go along, we're adding new sections to it, adding new things to it for it to track, but also keeping it as small and concise as possible while maintaining all the most important, the most essential things, right? And I've noticed as we've been doing this, the context and the depth is returning to the conversations. And the cool thing about this is we're not just using one thread. So each working session, I open up a new thread in Claude, I open up a new thread in Perplexity, and I just noticed that the responses and the depth are coming back. They're improving, they're getting better. So this is good. This master context file, this MC file that I use is working very well right now. And I just developed a version for ChatGPT for projects and for individual threads because I have some longer threads there that I want to do the same thing with. So been spot checking that, created got a bare bones SOP, standard operating procedure for creating those master contexts or those MC files. So anyways, that's what I work on here. So I'll do this at the end. In addition to the MC file work, we also created 3 new rules in section 14, which is also part of, but that's the work that we did that day. So that we uncovered some things that we want to keep track of, right? Decisions, right? We want to choose the asset that compounds. That really is telling us that we want to value long-term decision makings and benefits over short-term ones, right? Unless we get into a survival situation, meaning we need income fast or the project's going to implode or something like that, right? We also talked about funnel hierarchy and always pointing to the main call to action being signing up for our newsletter, right? We want to have a platform independent way of keeping communication with the people with you, like you've decided to follow. So we want to have that be platform independent. Should something happen with the platform, should they change their policies or how they operate, and maybe we come into a position later on that what we're trying to accomplish or part of what we're trying to accomplish or how we're trying to accomplish it now violates their use policies, which can happen from time to time. It doesn't mean we're doing anything bad. It just means that how they want to be used has changed, right? The service provider. And we want to be able to maintain our contact with you. I want to be able to maintain my contact with you without having to rely, say, on Perplexity, or better put, like we are using YouTube and X to communicate, but I want to have something outside that. I want to have an email address connection with you so that when I send out messages, I can keep you updated. And should we be shut down by some platform for something, we can still communicate with you until we can get back into compliance with whatever they're requesting. But anyway, so that is why we made that decision to make the newsletter sign up our main call to actions. We want to connect with you there first, and then we want to be able to connect with you through school would be our second one, get you to join our school community so we can collaborate there. And then from there, there's lower priority ones like subscribing to the YouTube channel, following us on X, things like that. But that email is our first and most important one because that we can take anywhere with us and we can communicate with you. If we go to a new platform, we can keep you advised of that. You will know when we've switched to a new platform. Okay, so the next thing, we made a decision to extend the phase 1 deadline from May 1st to May 31st. So we're going to work on it this whole month. I am doing some traveling this month, so I'm going to pack as much as I can into my non-traveling time. But our Q1 goal for this, really our higher level goal, is to get that first sale. But getting the first $40 of monthly recurring revenue is going to be huge for us. So we really want to get that because that'll allow us to upgrade our Perplexity account so we have more credits, particularly computer credits, and more access to the Comet assistant, right, in the Comet browser. So those are the 2 main things that we're using right now to automate. We've got some good news about that this week, because if you noticed from last week, if you watched session 10, we ran out of Comet Assistant usage for the month, which was brutal because we were depending on that because we ran out of Perplexity computer credits because I didn't understand how they were used and didn't use them wisely. So now we're learning, like a whole learning process. This is all to help you as well. As you follow along, as you use these things, you can learn from our mistakes, learn from my mistakes, right? Okay. So anyways, we've extended that deadline for phase 1. And really phase 1 is just to get us better tools, is to have Atonimus self-finance himself so he can get better tools and become more and more autonomous. Phase 2 is then going to be about getting even more monthly recurring revenue so we can get even better tools and move Atonimus to a place where in phase 3, when we get there, that is like where he is as fully autonomous as possible. And at that point, I'm checking in just as like a board of directors type of check-in, making sure that the vision is clear, adjusting the vision as needed, approving financial decisions, things like that, or just reviewing financial decisions. But I want Atonimus I want to give him goals and certain outcomes, and I want him to go to work and achieve those things with limited oversight from me. Just like I said, just the high level, like, here's what I want you to accomplish. Here's some guidelines on how to do it. Now you go ahead. And when I say how, I don't mean how, like, use this tool, whatever. I mean how as in, I want us to stay within these moral and ethical guidelines, right? Let's achieve this vision while staying within these values. You decide how we do it. And when there's money decisions, you'll run them past me. And other than that, he's going to be autonomous, and also in phase 3 and hopefully in phase 2 even, I want to get to a point where I can start handing off other projects that I have. So autonomous is going to be self-creating, right? Self-improving, self-generating, self-improving, self-financing, right? So he is going to come up with his own projects and to earn income and whatnot. But I want also to be able to hand off projects to him that I have. So I'm trying to get him into a state with that. And I'm going to be launching this week, actually. I'm going to start working on a version of Atonimus and OpenClaw, or Claw Autonomous. So I'm going to be starting that project as well in parallel. This was part of the original vision from the get-go, is to start with Perplexity Computer and see how we could use something like that based in an LL, or a web app, and see how that could be used to create an autonomous AI agent. And we gave ourselves certain restrictions. It had to be zero cost, set it up, get it running, and automate it as much as possible till we can start generating money, till it can start generating money and move forward, right? So we've had these constraints in place. We're going to have very similar constraints, do the same thing, but now we're going to start doing that in OpenClaw with Claw Autonomous and get him up and running. So with the same guidelines and goals, and let him pick his first project and get going on it and start to the self-financing process there. So eventually I'm going to have another playlist that you'll see on this channel where Claw Autonomous is going to be the theme of that playlist, and you'll see how we did this in OpenClaw. We're going to do this with Hermes, and then we'll come back to other LLMs. I want to do this with Claude Cowork. I also want to do this with OpenAI Codex, right? I want to get a version of each of these up and running, and they're going to share some memory and some guidelines and some high-level information with each other. They're also going to share lessons learned with each other as well. And eventually I want them to collaborate with each other and help each other. I want especially the more autonomous agents that have less limitations, like OpenClaw, Claw Autonomous, and the Hermes Claw, or the Hermes, I don't know the name for that one yet. We'll come up with some clever name. But anyways, the Hermes version are probably going to eventually be doing some work for the other versions to facilitate them, to make them more autonomous, or really to make it so that they're less dependent on me. I want them to get to a state where they can function properly without me having to be on the day-to-day decisions. I want to be there for the big decisions, not for the day-to-day operating decisions. I want them to create their own projects, run them, create their own SOPs for these projects, their own workflows, everything, without me having to approve the how. And I'm just checking to make sure that what they're doing is with the greater vision and within those values that we want to operate, right? And we'll get to develop those as we go as well, but that's what we're working on. So also, so that we extended the phase 1 deadline, we did update the user.md file. So this is a file that comes from OpenClaw. The user.md is all about me and how to work with me and my goals, my preferences, and whatnot. So we realized there were some things that were missing there. So we updated that version. That file actually is like a file that I use across all systems. So whether I'm using OpenClaw, Hermes, any other future autonomous agents like that, any LLMs or app or bot-based AIs like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, they can all reference this file or have it pasted in my preferences in my account there, and they can know who I am, what I'm trying to achieve, how to work with me, things like that, right? So we made some updates there. Also, we have been further developing a memory system that I've been using, a 3-layer memory system that started in OpenClaw, because very soon after starting to use OpenClaw, I ran into the memory issues that so many people have run into there. And my first solution there, based on research, what I'd seen other people do, was to use an Obsidian vault with QMD to index that vault and help pull the most relevant information and be storing it. So I basically put my own twist on that, working with Perplexity and OpenClaw back and forth to develop our own little system. So we updated that system. We're working to update it so it works better with Perplexity and get it to a place where we can have like a Git repo where that's stored, and that Perplexity can interact with it and make some updates there and pull up, see the latest version based on updates that other agents that we're creating have made. So these are important memory layer things to keep the project stable. Each of these individual agents will eventually have their own file there, their own directory, but they will also have a shared directory, so that especially the autonomous versions of these agents, so that they can, and when I say autonomous, I mean Project Autonomous, like ATONIMUS autonomous. Each version of the autonomous agent will be able to communicate with each other. They're going to share the same highest level goals and purpose and identity, and they will share lessons learned and whatnot. And like I said, eventually I want them to collaborate and help each other out. So, and we produce some new files, a memory patch spec, right, to help us keep our memory sharp. We also created a spot check protocol in Claude so that it can, from session to session, it can spin up a new thread. It reads the rules for the spot check protocol and knows how to help us out with each new session, with planning, with spot checking the planning, spot checking the work we're doing, the decisions we're making, and then spot checking any updates we make at the end to make sure we're covering all the important information. And then finally, we created an MD file SOP, or standard operating procedure, for creating markdown files, new markdown files, and making sure we're using some of the key components like our versioning, what type of file it is, what type of versioning it should use, maintaining a change log, a decision log, all those things. Just some key things that should be in every markdown file that we create to track things within a project or within a thread. So things that we still have open based on what we've talked, we need to build or scaffold the Autonomous Vault folder structure in our Obsidian Vault. We need to save the MC version 1.5.0, which we already did. I think we're actually up to, no, maybe that was user MDs up to 1.5.1. So we have saved that. We've corrected session 10 close. So we need to do that log for session 10. And we need to create an empty session index. This is part of the memory stuff we're doing. This won't be things I think that we're going to work on in this session because they don't directly drive revenue, but this is things that we'll work in an outside session. Okay, update the vault with agents.md. We need agents for Perplexity, agents for Claude, and agent_memory.md files. So again, that's work that needs to be done in an off session. Upload files to Autonomous Claude project sources, partly done. Restore Comet browser automation credits needed for session 11 execution. Got some good news, but we don't have Comet Assistant, but I'll show you an email I got, and we'll see what it means for us as we do some planning here, because I think how we use the credits that we just got is going to be important. So we'll check that, see how many we got and how we can use them. Okay, pending decisions before the DM push. Oh, the one thing, sorry, session 11, one thing. We build a DM list of 10 to 20 warm contacts, SFB members plus personal network. Draft a DM script, 1 base plus 2 variants for school, $7 per month founding offer. Send DMs in an off session Pomodoro. Yes, perfect. So we'll build those today. We'll send them at another time. Pending decisions before DM push. I do think we need to push back on that. I think we need to get the X thing going and the process going and automated more. That's what I think I would like to use the Perplexity credits, computer credits on, if we have enough to do that. If we don't, that could be a problem, but if we do, if we can schedule those, I would like to schedule those. So we'll see. Maybe that'll be something we push for in today's working Pomodoro based on what we discover in the planning Pomodoro here. Then we got some open questions. We want to reserve autonomous.vercel.app in Vercel. Buffer queue still at 0. I'm assuming that means it's, buffer the service. Yeah, we need to go ahead and get some new ones. The X follower count and school member count not pulled. So we did need to pull those analytics. That we should do here in the planning session, not our working session, because we need those to better plan what we're going to do for the actual work. Here's our metrics as of session 10 close. We've got no MRR currently, no monthly recurring revenue. Our phase 1 deadline is now May 31st, 2026. The website is now live. Newsletter sign up is a link, and newsletter are live. Our MC versions at 1.5.0, user.md 1.5.1. We need to verify X followers. School members, we have 2 unverified, but that's actually been verified. But we're going to do an update. I did see it this morning. I think it's still 2. Buffer queue, we need to reload that. Comment credits exhausted, but we got some good news. Well, comment assistant credits are exhausted, but we're going to have some perplexity. So here's what session 11 should open with according to Claude. Read the spot check protocol, load the canonical inputs, and confirm. We actually already did that. Are comments credits restored? If yes, DM push is feasible as the one thing. If no, buffer record plus NLX pull as an off session while DM gets built. That's important. See, that's what we need to decide. Like, how are we going to use these credits we got? So that is important. All right, so I think that's good. Let's move over. I'm going to come back here and start session 11 and show you how we do that. But first, we're going to go to our Comet browser here. Okay. We start session 11 on executing procedures properly. Let's see what Claude has to say. Three options, just to most thorough. Option 1, inline regex strip. File mechanically here, you view, copy, paste to vault. Touches every line, content, purely mechanical. That's the full set in your file, no interpretive judgment, just deleting backslashes, they markdown. Something that should stay. Bumps to version 1.5.1. Option 2, local sed awk, 3 minutes, I do it, I don't want that. Option 3, root cause fix, 10 minutes, fix future 2. The RTF problem comes from saving markdown and text edit on Mac, which defaults to RTF mode. Did I not? That was my bad, I think. I thought I switched. It was, yeah, it's already, but I think originally that file was it. Okay. So the root, because we saved it originally in RTF format, so there's some artifacts there, some relics. Fixing the file once doesn't prevent the document. Plain text. Done. And done, and then we'll just go double check that. Settings, new document, plain text. Perfect. Okay. So now, stop editing canonical files and text edit entirely. Use a plain text editor. Obsidian itself is fine if you're already running it. Text edit tool for markdown. Okay, well, maybe we need to consider that. Okay. Let's option 2 plus sed awk. Okay, I'm different. Yep, that's it. We don't want to terminal access it.
I'm good. I love you.
Slash escapes. Now it's going to bump the version block. Clean markdown. Now it's applying the files ready to download. Awesome. Let's say I switch. And we'll download that, save that in Project Atonimus, save it, boom. And open and ChatGPT Project Atonimus. Good. Upgrade to another text editor, it sounds like. Okay. Now we'll upload that. I'm going to put the other one there for spot checking so he has it fresh. Yeah, okay, the file is good. Hashes line up. That's what we wanted. Slash. Remove lines are now clean. Final verification. Check there are 0 remaining backs, 0 remaining escapes. File is fully clean. So now we need to. Perfect. Okay. So go to projects here. So we'll delete the old one, the old master context, and we'll put the new one in. There we go. Boom. And so going to go to Perplexity and do the same thing. That is not, where's our, go here. The files, remove the old, just remove the old file, the old master context file. Now we're going to add the new one. Since, so the two places it needs to happen, let's just make sure it's there again. It is, so go back to Claude. Okay. And okay, I just uploaded version 1.5.1 to the project files here in Claude. Please read and verify we have the right version currently. Oh. Perfect, good. Awesome. Now we can start planning session 11. So I'm going to go back over here to Perplexity now. Now we'll actually start planning and we'll start our Pomodoro. But this is like time. It takes a little bit of time. Today was longer than most days, to be honest, to get this stuff set up. But let's go ahead and do that. Let's get back to what is session 11. Okay. Microphone. I just updated the master context file in the project source files. Would you please, I'm going to try to do that through, have any credits there. This output, go back to Claude. start the planning process for session. I'm going to give this the feedback. So it wants us to change how a structural change to how we prompt perplexity. Here's why. We might do this at the end of the session here. Okay. I'm going to do this. Let's fix this at okay. Let's fix this at the end of the session. Please give me a prompt for perplexity to have it follow the correct planning format. Smart. Holding the structural fix for the end of the session keeps session 11 moving on revenue work, which is what perfect, and which is exactly the pace-ready prompt for perplexity. Direct names the violation, supplies the template, and forces a single lane commit. Boom. Okay. Audit on your last output. Rejected. Redo required. Let's get this down. Okay. Shoot, this was going to happen. So we are probably going to be done with our work on Claude today. So we're probably not going to be able to use Claude for spot checking today until after 6 o'clock. We'll have that. Here we go. Today was a lot longer than normal for this procedure. In session 10 close, see how we close out a session using the back and forth between Claude and Perplexity. You saw how we update the master context file in this one and how we get, so I check as we go along. But today there won't be as much spot. I think the fact that we got through so much here at the beginning planning means that our plan is going to be better going forward. So I'll run you through that now. I don't even know, but anyways, here we go. So let's look through here and see what it did. Last session, structural lock for the master context file, Cloud Agent operating system drafted, the spot check protocol, MRR, and the architecture is now locked and clean. The funnel is newsletter first with school as the primary paid layer and prompt stacked as the secondary offer. It's backwards, but I'm not going to worry about fixing that right now. The highest probability to move for them, so that would require a little bit of a change and some new tools created for them. But that was in there. It's recurring revenue directly, do a single conversion moves, MRR instead of one-time cash. The $7 amount founding offer is already live, time sensitive, and framed as minimal extra copy work. It uses the pull live metrics. Yes, that's good, but I want to do that here. That will be the last thing that will draft a school founding offer. So we will do that and turn the pack into an off session checklist for AP, buffer load, school post. Okay. Live metrics here in the planning session first, before we move to the working Pomodoro. Tools that are first. So I want to develop 3 I would really like to be doing later on. But right now, I think this is very normal. We'll still building these things and offer you habits. Then after the tools are clear, we draft the offer in the working Pomodoro. Not prompt stack because school is already the primary paid layer. Got to change that. Third, the offer gets strong. Bitcoin started and long-term contribution habit focused on discipline rather than hype. Nice. Bitcoin safety plus mistake and determination. Once we have that in place, let's go ahead and pull metrics checklist. Day roadmap, yep. First step Bitcoin plan calculator. And a steady contribution habit they can actually stick with. First step Bitcoin safety and mistakes checklist, yep. Perfect. Pull metrics checklist. Here is the pull metrics checklist run now before the working Pomodoro. Awesome. And one other thing I forgot, I want to check and see what we have for, that's our session 10. So let's go to our plan. All settings, I think is where it was. Subscription, computer. So we got an email saying we had more credits. Let's see if we got some bonus credits. Date granted, March 9th, 2026. I don't see any credits. So let our email in here really quick. Here we go. So there it is from 2 days ago. You have credits available. Your Perplexity computer credits. Hey, maybe I just got teased here. Bond. Allow once. There goes the blue halo, is thinking cap. Atonimus is on the job. Let's see if it'll let us do anything. Oh, beautiful. It's letting us. And once we get this information, this will just help us finalize the planning session. And this is cool because, like I said, we are going on here. I thought it might be limited to us. School date, which was getting a few extra. Let's see what happens. Okay. 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 You can also see here that all the different tabs it has open. There's our main discussion right there. Let's play. There's right, so now it's back in. See, long term going forward here is we want to make sure that we are doing this in a way that we can, especially during phase one, we just don't have a lot of credits and whatnot. So we want to get this really streamlined. Okay, scorecards full whenever you are. Awesome. So let's look at these updated metrics. What do we got? Revenue sales, 0. No Gumroad sales. School got 3. Remember if that's more than number and there we go. Scorecards ready to kick off the working Pomodoro. So they're first right now and living within those constraints. I do feel like this would be a lot easier. We are going to start, like I mentioned earlier, Claude here. If that's what you had and you don't have an autonomous agent like an OpenClaw or Hermes or something like that, and this is what you have, this is how you can learn from your mistakes. We're going to be sharing things, and I'm sharing things in this Project Atonimus School community that will make this so much simpler for you to get started. You're learning from our mistakes. I am going to start our to-dos that's not on our working Pomodoros because it's not revenue first right now, but it's in our off session list, is finding our lessons learned and giving those along with a startup guide for you. So we will have that soon in Project in the Project Autonomous School communities and start doing this yourself. We'll have like a perplexity guide, things to watch out for, things Pomodoro. And today it was much longer than that because we had some problems to fix. But you're getting to see behind the scenes of what I actually do here and how I'm building this and why I'm going through these steps, the constraints that we're using. It's worth it to me to use something that's going to take a little bit while to do it. I want to figure out how to do it. I want to have multiple versions of this running. I want to learn the lesson that can generate their own ideas.